All right, that was probably the most convincing victory of the day. Certainly one of the quickest. So we had a full Galente setup when we saw the Vindicators. They're usually made for the close range encounters. Why didn't that work out?
Well, they're so expensive that even though they're such a high damage ship, in this case, the team's damage is a lot lower. I mean, the Minotaur team, that's actually probably maybe one of the highest DPS loadouts you could sort of arrange. And so in a straight brawl, which this ended up being, the Minotaur team's way ahead. And I don't really know, it seems weird to bring all those dams.
Well, what I think they were trying to do was they were trying to force a rush onto them. Like, they didn't want to get kited out. They wanted to make people get in close, and where the Vindicator can get into its punching range.
Yeah, but like, surely you know that if you face an actual rush team, you'll lose.
Yes.
That's the gamble
you
make.
That's the gamble. I mean, obviously you don't know that before, but the second you see the rush team, you must be going, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Because tensor dams don't really do anything if the opponent wants to be really close.
Right.
Yeah.
But, I mean, convincing win.
Yep.
So this was one of the first full Galente setups.
Mm-hmm.
Is this just why? I mean, are there too many combinations that beat these Galente setups?
Yeah, Galente is just not as strong. Generally, it's going to want to be a straight kind of damage and tank strategy. Obviously, it has damps. Obviously, it has some utility with things like longer scram range from the Lachesis and stuff like that. But it's just not. Generally, Minotaur just does it better in this format. I think you gain a little resilience against ECM. We talk about that a lot, having like a unified, Galente or Amar team against ECM. But it's just not. It just doesn't do it as well.
I think Galente is very good in their niche. They are the best in a very small niche, whereas Minotaur covers sort of a broader spectrum, a much larger spectrum, where they're more capable of handling things where they can't really decide what they're going to fight, which is just like the Alliance tournament. So,
and I do think this match was kind of more about battleships than it was about Galente. I mean, I think it'd be interesting if who was it, Voltron and Bane? If Bane had brought like 6 Brutix hulls, like we saw yesterday, it might have been a lot closer.
Yeah, I mean, you might be able to deal with the number of ships much easier. I mean, once you lose one of those Vindicators, you've effectively cut your team's DPS down by a massive margin.
And to begin with, you probably have only a third of what the Minotaur team has.
Yeah.
So.
All right, bad choice this late in the tournament?
Maybe. I mean, obviously, I guess, yes.
It was a bad choice.
Choices that lead to losing, probably
It was a bad choice against what they ended up fighting.
Yeah. All right. What team would this setup have done well against?
It'd be interesting to see how it did against Tengus. I mean, kind of a classic Tengu. I'd be curious. I think it might still lose, actually, but I have to think that they either wanted that or they wanted an ECM team. It might be good against an ECM team. It has a lot of quick damping, so it could shut down the rooks and then close and kill. So maybe that's what they were hoping for.
I think probably the team that we've seen today that would have been best against, I think it would have done really well against that power of 2, 3 Tangos, 2 Nighthawks frigate team. I think that because of all the war focused in the frigates on the Galente team, it would have done really well against making them come in real close to have to fight.
It's possible. I don't know if you want to gauge your team strength based on how it does against power of 2.
Well, I mean, they've done decently.
They did make it out of the group stage.
They did.
They did do decently. All right.
Good job.
So remember that we have the PCU contest going on. You still have another hour to guess just how many people are going to be on TQ between 7:30 and 9. You have to guess it, and I would shoot somewhere around 65,000. I hope we have 65,000. In this area, log on all your characters, all your alts. Make sure all your family members are subscribed. If not, get them trial accounts. Let's see if we cannot break the PCU like we traditionally do during the Alliance tournament. All right, let's see the schedule for tonight, because we are far from done. We still have a ton of stuff to blow up. This is what it looks like so far. Next up is Solar Fleet versus Razor Alliance. That will conclude the first half of the show. Then we'll move into a much smaller bracket. So far, it's Perihelion versus Darkseid, Black Legion versus Outbreak, Paiste versus Hydra, and Voltron versus either Razor or Solar Fleet. I'm looking at these alliances here. Yeah, there we have the current picture perfectly updated. we're going to go on a break after the next match, and then we'll come back and run through the last matches and find a winner of this alliance tournament. I'm looking at these alliances, and there aren't a massive number of big 0.0 alliances.
It's because people in big 0-0 alliances don't PvP in small gangs. Michael Bolton?
Is that true?
Well, we PvP in small gangs, but why only hang out with 10 people when you could hang out with 500 people? We're much more social, and we're sort of like the cool kids. We're the popular kids, essentially.
Oh, I see.
Whereas like the low sec is like very cliques, like small groups of people that sort of like.
So you're basically nicer people.
Yeah, we're cooler,
essentially.
essentially.
I see. Okay.
And we have all the tech.
But I mean, you also have all the members, all the skill points, all the money. Shouldn't alliances like Test, Goon Swarm, Morsis Mihi, AAA, Legion of X-Death X, yada, 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 shouldn't they be doing better?
Well, we have other things. We have a lot of stuff to focus on. Like,
are you using the "I was doing something else that day" excuse?
Yeah, no. I was sort of like, gotta defend this moon, gotta go set up this POS, gotta do this diplomacy. It's sort of like when you have a smaller alliance where you guys just live at an NPC station and like occasionally you have to go to Jita, and then all you do the rest of the time is like practice your alliance tournament team at Rome. You sort of get good at those two things. So, I don't know. It's just one of those, practice makes perfect, and they have more time to practice.
Is that true, Kill2?
I have no idea, but I feel like...
Sounds convincing, doesn't it?
It sounds like... No. I mean, it's true that we get a lot of practice. I don't know if I count, but we get a lot of practice in smaller gangs and low sec, which makes us better. But I don't know that you're like... Too busy seems like a really lame excuse.
Well, the other problem is...
Why don't you just...
The other problem, one of the bigger problems, and I'll be realistic here, is that when you have a large alliance like 5,000 people, you don't know everybody. And when you say, hey, I want to field an alliance tournament team, there are some alliances that may go, like say Solar Fleet might go, we want you, and you. There might not be an actual tryouts. But for say Test, we had just an open, like anyone who wants to apply, we'll look at what your skill points are, and then if you're good, we'll fly with you. But you don't have that history with that person. You don't know how they're going to react. You don't know how they're going to act under the extreme pressure of a tournament. So just the knowledge of who you're flying with is a big advantage in these small sorts of teams.
I would say that population isn't a good... I mean, a good example was when we had faction warfare teams in. Obviously, there's tons of people there. And having tons of people probably doesn't help. I mean, once you pass some threshold of 40 or 50 people, it probably becomes a problem, actually. But you also have lots of money, which is important. Maybe important enough to get you to where they usually get, though.
It's a lot of excuses. I'm almost tempted to go like this, but I wouldn't do that.
Okay. We were talking to, I think Shadu said that AAA, their entire team was from one corporation. Is that like one way to mitigate the whole, we have 5,000 people and I don't really know them?
Yeah, no, that's true. I think that some alliances choose to go with that. And it really just depends on like, what do you think is fun in the game that you want to commit your time to? Because essentially at the end of the day, you might want to win this, you might want to do that, but you only really want to do what's fun.
Are you saying the tournament's not fun?
No, I'm saying that it's fun for all of the people that really want to. It's fun for a lot of people. It's not fun for some people. Miners don't want to go, yeah, I hope there's belts in the arena so I can warp my Hulk in and really just get some trit. Like,
fair enough.
But what he said, though, about people needing to know each other, in this small type of a gang is super important. Because you can't just be yelling out commands left and right. Your gang members need to know what to do, right? And they know each other, and if you have a good team that is finely tuned, they're just automatically doing the stuff that you've been practicing. You don't have to yell it out. So it is correct that you do need to have a gang like that. All
right. Let's grab a question from the forum. We've kind of been neglecting that question thread a little bit. Let's just see what they have. Starsaber1 asks, why are there so many cormorants being brought in as opposed to the other destroyer types?
Well, I think the big thing about the Cormorant is it's very effective on the E-War-based teams. The Thrasher has more DPS, but the Cormorant has all those mid slots. It has more mid slots than anything else.
It's 5 for the Cormorant, and
which is pretty good for a
3
destroyer.
for a Thrasher.
It's 2 more mid slots.
Catalyst is...
And the MR one has 1 or something.
Something like that.
It's really about mid slots. It's about a way to field mid slots that also have some other utility. Like
it also has much higher CPU.
Some damage.
Yeah, CPU to fit too. I think that's probably why they fit the smart bombs on there. I'm not really sure what the grid and CPU requirements for small smart bombs are, but yeah. In that smart bombing cormorant you were talking about that received the cap transfers. Yeah.
That's a clever little...
Yeah, that's a cool trick.
That's something I don't think we've seen before, so that's very interesting.
All right. Empress Chimera asks, why the lack of Tech 1 cruisers? Like the rush teams, why don't they have a dampening caracal, for example?
I mean, a ton of these questions, and I was going to mention this actually with the destroyer question, is that destroyers are super cheap. Cruisers, for what they do right now, are not super cheap in the tournament, and that's really all it comes down to. We've had tournaments where cruisers were dominant because they fit the point structure a lot better, and in this tournament they just don't. So you're better off with a battlecruiser for the most part, or shipping down to a destroyer or something.
Yeah, exactly. They're not really super effective for the points, although we have seen in certain cases, we saw the occasional rupture that tried to kill that Macarel in the one fight last weekend. But we have seen Blackbirds. They're used, because of that E-War, they're really, to fit DPS or tank on a cruiser, T1 cruiser is not really effective. You almost have to exclusively use them for E-War.
PL brought cruisers and they lost. Ha.
Yeah. All right, so last match of the first half of the day. This is Solar Fleet versus Razor Alliance. Who do you think is going to win?
Hardest one to pick for me of the day. I'm going to go with Razor, but I feel like it's really even.
I'm going to go with Razor Alliance. I feel like Solar Fleet yesterday and the previous weekend didn't pull out what I thought they were going to, or what I thought was the most effective. And Razor did okay. They didn't do great, but they did all right.
All right. Magnus?
I'll pick Razor. Know both of them, so I think Razor's going to win.
I'm going to go for Solar Fleet. They've been a little bit disappointing, but I kind of had this gut feeling that Maktep's going to pull something awesome out.